2 months. They're having breakfast before he goes to work and drops Cooper off at daycare, and then drives 0.6 of a mile. 0.6 of a mile, less than 6 minutes. He's leaving Chick-fil-A and arrives at work. And in that time period, apparently, according to the defense and him, completely forgets that his son is in the car seat right over his right shoulder. Okay? Those are some of the facts. When the story first broke, everyone felt bad for the dad. Then they learned more of the facts of the case and more about Ross Harris, and suddenly they weren't feeling so bad for him. Let's bring back in our think tank. Jamie White, Randy Kessler, Larry Uretzian still with us. Randy, I want you to take a look at a picture that I know you'll recognize. Let's take a look at this. This is a picture from inside Ross Harris's little mini SUV. That is the driver's seat. And there you see, in the middle of the back seat is where Cooper's car seat was. It was rear facing, so his head would have been really, really close to Ross Harris. Randy, this was one of those facts that people had a real tough time with. How on earth did you not see him? And he went back at lunchtime to drop off some batteries into the passenger seat and did not see his son in the car, according to Ross Harris.
You know, Vinny, you've looked at this and I've looked at this with you. And we covered this story week after week after week, and there's just no possible way that he just forgot. It just doesn't add up. Yes, there's a natural bias of the jury, of everybody, to think, how would a father intentionally murder their own child? How would a parent do that? So that was the burden that the prosecution had. But when you just show these pictures and you see that and you do that jury view and the jury sees it, because everyone wants to believe maybe there's a way that he didn't see the child, maybe, and they're looking for that out, the people that want to follow their instincts, that a father could not possibly forget about the child. You look at this and you say, nope, there was no way he could have not seen this child. That, you know, and Mary Staley is a great judge, and it's going to be an uphill battle for this motion for a new trial. This is a tough hill to climb.
You know, Vinny, I disagree with Randy, you know, as far as it's just that obvious. You know, as a father of four, you know, I had 3 kids under 5 at one point in time. I could tell you that getting off a couple airplanes at times, you know, we had stewardess, yeah, you might have forgotten something back there. You know, we talk all the time. Law enforcement likes to talk about, you take a snapshot of what occurred and you don't have the whole story, you know, whether it's a police assault encounter and so on. And so I think that same principle applies here. Now, look, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm not, this guy is a character, but this idea that somehow he couldn't have done this in an incidental way, I think is not within the bounds of what we know as people. 0.6 miles from his home, I think, supports the idea that this could have been an accident. When we're away from home, when we're in strange environments, we're extra careful. We're looking over our shoulders. What's going on with our kids? You're in your backyard, you don't pay any attention to him. So
no, he's going from Chick-fil-A. He went out. He took him to Chick-fil-A. He drove from home to Chick-fil-A, had breakfast, surveillance video of all of it, carrying him around,
right,
straps him in at Chick-fil-A, then drives 0.6 of a mile from Chick-fil-A to the parking lot where he worked at Home Depot. He was an IT guy for the corporate office.
It's ugly, don't get me wrong. I'm just suggesting this idea that somehow this guy who's sexting all day is obsessed with other things, and that's where the prosecutor went wrong. If this motion works out for the defense, is trying to prove intent in this crime. I think that they could have gotten there without intent. There certainly are higher degree child abuse charges than he was convicted of had they focused on that. That could have resulted in a life sentence in of itself. So trying to prove this guy intentionally masterminded this idea where he's going to hotbox this kid all day, I think it's a stretch for a lot of people.
Look, even though Jamie disagreed with me, I agree with him that these allegations, the sexting, it's a distraction, and that might be their only avenue to get it overturned. What does that have to do with whether he intentionally murdered his child? That made him look like a bad person. That made the jury not like him, and that might have prejudiced the jury overly. And that may be the one angle they have. I still think it's an uphill battle.